Hello, this is RICKY, the Android Guy. Hey guys, today we are bringing you a side-by-side photo comparison between the iPhone 7 Plus and the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, these are two of the best cameras you can find out there, and we're going to go over the four main categories that you want to see, and that is low light, detail, color reproduction, and of course the all-important selfie. So let's get started with the first one, which is low light. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus has come a long way compared to last year's iPhone 6 Plus, because the 6S Plus definitely lost this battle with the S7, but this year, the iPhone 7 Plus actually has a even better low light than the Galaxy S7 Edge. So with this one, you really just do have the real big difference in low light. You can see in terms of the lighting up here, and it even has less of a lens flare than the S7 Edge had, which last year the iPhone 6S Plus had even bigger lens flare compared to the 7. So it's just a really controlled, great looking low light, and Apple's definitely stepped up their game. And even when we zoom in a little bit, you can still see a lot of the detail. Yes, a little bit of artifacting in certain spots, but overall, really a great experience when comparing to the S7 Edge, which again still gets a lot of detail, but just not as much shadowing and contrast in comparison to the iPhone. And really, especially when you zoom out, that is what you want to see. So yes, overall, when it comes to this, I will say that the iPhone 7 Plus is going to be the better low light category. Now, the difference is going to be with the S7 Edge and the iPhone 7 Plus. In terms of indoor lighting, you will see a difference, whereas the S7 Edge goes a bit on the warmer side and the iPhone 7 goes a little bit on the overexposed or blue hue side. Overall, I've noticed this in a couple of different indoor photos. So when it comes to that though, let's go into the actual detail. So when we zoom in, we will see in terms of the clarity, the S7 Edge really just has all of these titles pretty much clear as can be, but the iPhone struggles in a lot of them, just not having the same crispness in detail that you get on the S7. Especially on some of these, you can see like Nintendo Land, really clear and prevalent, and on the iPhone 7 Plus, not so. And as we move along, again, you can just see always a little bit out of focus. Now, just so you know, I do tap this area right here for both of these cameras to focus and then take the photo. These are all on auto settings for all of these photos. So again, when it comes to changing photo settings, of course you can change photo settings. You can really take your time, but I like to do it just how you would right out of the box. So overall, in terms of clarity and details, yes, the S7 Edge is going to take the overall clarity and detail portion of the comparison. Now, when we go to color reproduction, this is actually a very tough one. Simply because when it comes to color reproduction, the iPhone 7 Plus has one thing almost dead on, and the S7 Edge takes almost everything else. So let me explain. When we go into all the different colors here, I would say the first person, meaning Steve Harvey right here, looks more realistic here than here. Here he looks a bit off, a little bit more orange-like of a tint to it, instead of his more natural skin color. So that is really where I would say that it's going to be a bit better. However, in everything else, the S7 Edge not only does a better job of color reproduction, but it definitely contrasts better. In here, the iPhone kind of, again, stays on the lighter and blue side of the hue, so it really kind of blends in all the different shades of white, whereas the S7 Edge really differentiates them. You can see the blue white, you can see the white white, you can see the yellow white. It really is just much more differentiated. And on here, all of the people's skin tones actually look more like the cover than on here on the Apple. It tended to wash out a lot of their faces to be on the lighter side than how it actually looks in real life. So take that with overall, I cannot ignore that Steve Harvey definitely looks better here, but the S7 Edge looks better than everywhere else. So this one will be a tie. We will call this one a tie. Overall, color reproduction is good on both, but they just go back and forth in terms of what they are. By the way, in terms of the middle right here, the green is more accurate on the iPhone and the purple is more accurate on the Samsung. So again, it's a bit of a split. Overall, I will give this a tie when it comes to color reproduction. And finally, when we go to the selfie is definitely a tough one, especially since we like to challenge selfies and give it the hardest test to do. And that is one, give it a very dark area in the background where you have no lighting whatsoever. Both make this area a lot lighter than it actually is. And two, give it a very bright light to contrast that and see if it overexposes it or if it keeps it with the detail. And that is where we see, although the iPhone 7 Plus has gotten a megapixel boost since last time around, it does actually make the darker area look better without getting too much noise, but you definitely see a lot of masking in the line. You cannot see a clear indication of a line here, whereas you can a bit better on the S7 Edge. But definitely when it comes to not overexposing, this does a much better job. So what this represents is if the sun is behind you, you're going to get an overexposed shot with the iPhone, whereas Samsung will actually be able to take it okay. Also, in darker scenarios, you're going to get a better shot overall with the S7 Edge than you will with the iPhone 7 Plus when it comes to selfies. Now, when it comes to the subject overall, you're also going to get a much wider shot. These were both taken at the same arm's length, but the S7 Edge gets a much better shot overall, getting the no need for a selfie stick because you just get a much wider shot with the S7 Edge compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. Honestly, that's my biggest complaint about Apple's selfie taking. It is way too close. And again, these are at the same distance, so I could, stretch my arm even further to get a wider shot with either phone or get closer with either phone. But overall, that's my big complaint about the iPhone 7. It just doesn't get a wide enough selfie. In terms of the detail, both of these are pretty much on par with the other. Samsung does some touching up, so you can notice my stubble a little bit more on the iPhone, whereas Samsung kind of cleans that up. Even though beauty mode is completely turned off, it still does a bit of touch up. So overall, that is one thing you have to consider. If you want no touch up, Samsung is still always going to give you a little bit no matter what, whereas Apple will not. Overall, though, in terms of the quality, the S7 Edge just has the better overall quality. They have about the same amount of detail, whereas you can't really notice the fine hairs on my beard or anything along those lines. But overall, definitely, you're going to have the better overall representation for a lot of your selfies and in different areas for taking your selfies on the S7. So as we go back, low light goes to the iPhone 7 Plus, detail goes to the S7. These are tied for color reproduction, and Samsung takes the overall one when it comes to selfie, which means when it comes to the camera comparison, the Galaxy S7 Edge is the better one. Now, keep in mind when it comes to camera quality between these and the iPhone 7 and the regular S7, you should get similar results since the S7 and the iPhone 7 both have image stabilization. The camera on the iPhone 7 Plus has the telephoto, but not necessarily a better camera. They're the same camera now in terms of the standard one. So keep that in mind. These are the different results, and it just depends on what you need. The low light is going to be better with the iPhone 7 Plus, but overall, when it comes to everything else, you're good with the S7 Edge. If not on par, then even a little bit better. Alright guys, thank you for watching our photo comparison. Please give a like, thumbs up down below if you did like this. Thank you as always again for watching. This has been RICKY, the Android